Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Rant Podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another Lights, Camera, Rant video game review, where we'll be looking at 2 Point Campus. This particular game, in its name, essentially, you get to run your own university campus. Story-wise, you get to go to different universities and build them up. You're first introduced to 2 Point County, very similar to 2 Point Hospital, which the developers 2 Point Studios originally made, which was the spiritual successor, if you will, to Theme Hospital. If anyone remembers that game, I'm really showing my age right now. So 2 Point County, which is the world map, and shows you multiple universities on which you have to build it up. There's requirements and make sure they are striving and thriving. I sound like Dr. Seuss. Now, before I go any further, this game is my type of niche. I love those tycoon city building games. So like SimCity, City Skylines, a roller coaster tycoon, railroad tycoon, Tropico. I absolutely love all those types of games. So this one fit into my niche perfectly. And I just enjoy that building aspect. So that's why. So as you can tell, when you go into this game, the story is very straightforward. You build a university and campus. There is not too much depth to that. But the unique thing about what the story is that each university has its own particular theme, which was really cool. So you got one that's like a spy school. So all the classes are spy. One that's all about archaeology. One that's all like Harry Potter and wizardry. One's about night school. So each one you go to is different. And then what the plan is that when you're building, you've got to make sure the fact that all the classes are right, and the fact that, you know, you've got all things to make sure your students strive. Now, the big difference between this and Theme Hospital is that Theme Hospital, when a patient come through, they were cured. They would leave. This particular round, these students, you can build a relationship with them because they're not going to stay with you for just 1 year, which in-game is 20 minutes. A course can go for 4 years, and then you can see them, their wins, their losses, build relationships. You know, if the game's meant to, when a student leaves, you should feel sad, and like the fact that, you know, you've spent all this time with them. So, you know, you spent an hour and a bit with them and you're watching them. This game is incredibly detailed, but the story is very straightforward on what you have to do. The graphics wise, crisp. The detail in this game, you zoom out, zoom in, just looks fantastic. The detail in every character looks great. And yes, it is cartoonish, but it just looks really nice and really crisp. I had zero issues with gameplay off my PlayStation 5. Now, the controls wise, the gameplay, now this is where they've really amped up. You can pick the classes, you can design the rooms, you can also send people for extra tuition so they can get boost up their grades. You can make events, you can do challenges with other schools. This game, there was so many aspects of this for the university that you fully control. They've given you so much to play with in this game, which I really like. And the fact that, you know, you can go through each individual student, each individual staff member, you can train him and you can do so much with him. I was very surprised how detailed that is. So this game gives you full control on when you're building it. And, you know, and the level of detail from obviously how much money the university is making, tuition fees, which keep that in mind because you want to make sure they're not too high because people ain't going to come. Each aspect. So I found that quite really good and really easy to use. The only kind of grind I did have is the fact that because there is so many controls and the gameplay, it is a little bit grind trying to figure out and snap quickly to everything. as you're going across. So I thought that was just a little bit of a grind, but once you get into it more, it becomes a lot easier. But just trying to obviously on a controller, just trying to go through everything because there's so much detail, it can become a little bit hard. But the building aspect, easy. They've done all of that. It's fantastic. And the level, as I said, the deal, posters, lamps, everything you can do in this game as you're building it. And you can see the full progress of all your students, high, low, Fs, A pluses, Bs, Cs, all the crossbow, and you can see their progress, which I really do love. So all the positives of the game is like, the graphics, the level of detail, how much in depth you can get with all your students, because as I said, with Theme Hospital, they're not leaving you. And, just the story, it's very basic. I don't have to go into that much further. You're going to know exactly what to do. But there is plenty of classes that you can build across. You just got to keep in mind, obviously each class has to have a lecture theater. So every class you build is 2-room, 2-room, 2-room. But you've also got to make sure the fact there's dorms, there is restrooms, you got to make sure there's showers, gyms, pastoral class, which is like, you make sure your relationships are all intact, which that also builds as well. And then you can also build a football field so you can challenge other schools. So I really enjoyed all that aspect of this game, which this game does offer you. It is so much more in depth than 2 Point Hospital, which you cure the person, they bugger off. This, they stick around, and you can build as big as you want to a degree. Obviously, for the PlayStation, can't go too big, and how many students, but it was streamless and no glitches at all. I haven't seen one glitch or one issue or anything like that, which is completely different to my Saints Row review I just did a couple of weeks ago. It's so streamlined. I loved it. And I was even telling a mate the other day, I was like, this game is just this, yet I have 0 issues. And Saints Row 5, which is meant to be, AAA title, this big game, and there was just so much wrong with it. Cyberpunk. But this game is just really easy to use, really streamlined. Once you get the hand of the controls, that's the only thing. And it's just, it's really good to play. And especially for anyone who's that city building person, you're going to love it. However, I will also mention a negative is that sandbox mode is not available when you first launch the game. You have to go through the story to unlock it. And then you still don't get everything. You still have to go through all the missions to unlock all the classes. And as well as, look, once you do like 5 universities, it does get really repetitive. Go in, rebuild requirements. Go in, build requirements. Like that's the repetitive tone each time, which I even found myself, I'm like, a bit of a grind trying to do that. So I understand that's the game. However, I'm just finding it a bit just repetitive each time to do that. And the fact I had to unlock sandbox mode, which every game does it differently. But I like the fact of sandbox mode just ready to go straight away. Just makes it more fun. But overall, I tip my hat off to 2 Point Studios. They have improved a lot since 2 Point Hospital, and the game even got delayed, and look, it shows. It's really worth it. And for anyone who's big creative and loves detail, you're in the right place. So overall, positives. As I said, gameplay, great. Graphics, great. Story, it's pretty straightforward. Negatives, bit repetitive. Controls, you have to do a little bit more of a grind to just learn them all. But once it is, it's streamlined. And I just don't go in thinking sandbox is ready. You're going to have to go through the grind of the game to do it. But you guys tell me, have you played 2 Point Campus? Did you really like it, or did you find it boring? Overall, what I want you to take from this is the fact that if you are like me and you like city building and tycoon games, this is the right place for you. Anything else, it may not be your cup of tea at all. Or if you like Sims, it'll be your cup of tea, but anything else, probably not. Just to be honest. But look, guys, that is my review for 2 Point Campus. Please let me know what your thoughts are. If you've played it, good or bad. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, guys, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.